From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your morning update.
Your weekend weather update is made possible by Caltrans District 2.
Well, happy Saturday morning to you. Number one, you're probably wondering why I'm here. Why isn't Brian here? Well, he's got the weekend off. And number two, it's quite a storm moving through. And, this is something I've been talking about here even since the beginning of the storm. The biggest impacts that I had always originally thought was just going to be the snow that we're going to see in the higher elevations and how that's going to impact the mountain travel. Now, of course, we did see a lot of thunderstorms with some accumulating hail. That created some problems as well. But before we get into the forecast, this is something I started at noon yesterday and also did it in my evening weathercast as well. But the first time I'm doing it here in the morning. And I want to share your thoughts on a new format that I'm playing around with. And that is, as we all know, what I'm doing here, number one, is outside the box. This is something new that we've never had here in Northern California before. So I am on this groundbreaking mission to really fine-tune what Weather NorCal has to offer everyone. And I want to make it as easy as possible for everyone as well, and make what I'm offering as versatile as possible as well. We can just kind of keep going on and on with that, right? But as we all know, one of the things that I'm known for, and one of the things that was most frustrating when I was in TV, is I was only given a certain amount of time to give the forecast, and I just couldn't get it all in there, and it was really frustrating. But now that I have this platform, I can go on and on and on and give you the details that you love. A lot of you love, right? But I also recognize the fact that there are also many of you who you may still appreciate the details that I give, but you may have a busy day ahead of you. And you just want to get out the door, get their forecast, and be on your way. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. So for those of you that don't have a lot of time, but still appreciate the in-depth forecast, what I'm going to start doing now is at the very top, I'm going to give you just the kind of the bare bones forecast. Here's what's happening real quickly. Here's your forecast to get you through the day. And then after that, we go into the deep dive forecast. That's when we go into all the details that we all know and love. So watch this forecast, see how it goes, and tell me what you think. And there are different ways that you can contact me. mkruger@weathernorcal.com. Instant message me on Facebook. Or you can also, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can make a comment in the comments section below. I really want to hear what you think. A majority of you so far, since noon yesterday and in the evening yesterday as well, majority of you have really appreciated this new format. But I want to get more from all three different audiences, because I know that there are probably more people who watch the morning or at noon or, of course, in the evening as well. So I want to get my whole broad audience and see what you all think. All right, now that I spent probably 5 minutes talking about that, let's get you to it, right? And get you into kind of the first part of the forecast. Now, what we're going to do here, as I mentioned, is going to be kind of your bare bones forecast. But I think everybody has time to stop and smell the roses, right? I mean, look at some of these beautiful photos sent by David Hoffman. This is out in Grenada. All right, this is so on I-5 north in Siskiyou County. You can see the beautiful mountains off in the distance here from yesterday. So we're kind of feeling the effects of the storm in a beautiful way too. Look at this double rainbow from Beverly Kelly. Thank you, Beverly, for sending in this photo from Proberta. This is southeast of Red Bluff. Beautiful. It looks like the wind has blown the flags off in the distance there too, but oh, you gotta love that. So I always appreciate those photos. And the other thing I like about the photos is not only is it nice to look at, double rainbows and just beautiful landscapes, but when we have storms, it's also, I appreciate the storm photos as well. So when you do share your photos, be sure to make sure you include your location and your elevation as well. And of course, not to mention your name, so I can give you credit. And this not only helps me get a better perspective of what's happening with the storms, because this is a broad area with lots of microclimates, but it gives everybody else too. So when I share these photos with other people, right, on social media, right here on this broadcast, people get that better idea as well with what's going on. Because it may not be that bad where they are, right? But then they can get a better perspective maybe where you are. It's a lot worse. All right, so the weather headlines, we have a chance for thunderstorms through the weekend. Now, the valley will see that chance for thunderstorms and the coast. Now, with these thunderstorms, I want you to remember, when we're dealing with cold storm systems like this one, because of the low snow levels we're talking about, you typically have a better chance for hail associated with those thunderstorms. And in particular, accumulating hail. We've already seen that, especially along the coast, but even parts of the valley as well over the last few days. That could be the case again here for today and not to mention tomorrow. Not everyone, right? If you get caught under a thunderstorm, there's that good chance you could see a hailstorm as well. Periods of heavy rain, heavy snow, and gusty winds. Now, I do want to mention this about the winds. The winds were strongest Thursday morning with the passage of the cold front. That's when we saw those 50, 60 mile an hour winds and the power outages. Behind that cold front is still the main storm system. Believe it or not, the storm system we're going to be dealing with over the weekend is the same one that moved or started to move through on Thursday. It's a slow-moving storm, several other storms rotating around it, giving us what we're going to be looking over the next few days. But the winds will not be nearly as strong as what we saw on Thursday, but it'll just be gusty at times. So just be aware of that. There will be most likely travel delays through the weekend too. We're already seeing that with chain requirements this morning, and there will be more throughout the weekend. Drier and slightly warmer by the middle of next week. Yes, we're finally going to get a break from this wet weather pattern, and that will be by around the middle of next week. Here's your planner for today. There are the thunderstorms we can see in the valley. As I mentioned, maybe some hail. Temperature is not getting that warm, by the way. There you can see Siskiyou, Modoc County, Eastern Mountains, pretty much everywhere, say above 1,000, 1,500 feet, be in the form of snow or a rain-snow mix at those lower elevations. There you can see the north coast, maybe some thunderstorms there as well. Take you out to the inland areas. I think you can see a few thunderstorms too, but we can see a bit of a mix too for some of those inland areas as well, not to mention out towards Trinity County. Weaverville, Hayfork, you're going to be kind of going back and forth. Because the snow levels, I'm actually expecting them to start low. They'll rise a little bit here through the morning and midday hours, and then start to go back down later this afternoon and into the evening. So there you can see this broad trough of low pressure, colder air. You see the spins in there. Those little spins are little storm systems that are kind of rotating around the main storm system itself. So we look at futurecast for today into tonight. Here we are at 6 a.m. I've got snow levels around 1,000 feet. As I mentioned, through midday, I'm expecting those snow levels to rise a little bit. So Hayfork, Weaverville, you may not be in the form of just snow all day long. You may kind of transition back over to a mix by around midday, and then later in the afternoon, evening, it turns back over to snow. But there you can see, this is going to be the trend here. We've just got this flow coming in, and it's continuing to bring in that rain and snow. Could see those thunderstorms developing in the valley, and we can't forget about the coast as well. You could be looking at thunderstorms too, but everywhere else, 1,000 feet and higher, at least a mix at those lower elevations around 1,000 feet. But then as you start going above that, it's in the form of snow, which, as you know, when you get to the 2,000, 3,000 foot range, I-5 could see snow, not to mention Highway 299. So keep a close eye on those road conditions before heading out, if you indeed have to be on the mountain highways. There's 10 o'clock tonight. We're still seeing snow, and there's going to be more coming in behind that for Sunday. So this isn't ending anytime soon, folks. This is going to be a weekend event. So there you can see, this is what I was talking about. So here we are at 6 o'clock this morning. Rain in the valley, rain for the coast. But look at all of the snow everywhere else, right? But check this out. I'm going to take you into the noon hour. Look what's happening. We're seeing a lot less of the light and dark blue, which is the snow and the heavy snow, right? We're seeing a lot less of that. So snow levels may increase. So this is what I was talking about. Snow levels climbing up a little bit, but check this out. As we go into Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, now see what we're starting to see happen. Of course, Saturday is today. But there you can see, we're seeing less and less green and more of the blue, indicating where snow levels are dropping again. Then we go into tonight. Check this out. Now we're back to where we are right now this morning, right? Where we're seeing that predominantly snow in the mountains, and it's going to create more problems for travel. And that will continue, by the way, into Sunday morning. So you kind of get the idea there. Up a little bit, then back down. All right, so here is your neighborhood forecast for Trinity County. As I mentioned, we are going to be looking at off and on rain and snow through at least Tuesday, most likely drying out by Wednesday. Snow levels around 1,000 feet over the weekend. They slowly tick back up by Monday, Tuesday of next week. Here's your North Coast neighborhood forecast. You can see some lightning strikes today and tomorrow with those temperatures mainly in the low to mid 40s. Take you up to the North Coast northward. Also the chance for thunderstorms. A little breezy. Winds will be strongest off the coast, not quite as strong as you start heading inland. Take you out to your Siskiyou County neighborhood forecast. It's going to be quite chilly out there today. And of course, those cooler temperatures help to support the snow that we will see. So you can kind of see temperatures mainly in the low to mid 30s on average. Your Modoc County neighborhood forecast, it's going to be most likely below freezing throughout the day today, with temperatures mainly in the upper 20s and low 30s. Snow all the way through Tuesday off and on, obviously, and then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we dry things out. Here's your Eastern Mountains neighborhood forecast. Those temperatures also quite chilly, although places like Paradise about 40, 37 for Shingletown, right? But you head out towards Kronberg, 31, Janesville, 33, and Susanville right around or just above that freezing point today. Here's your Valley neighborhood forecast brought to you by Haas Farms, and you can see, of course, looking at temperatures in the low 50s. So still not terribly cold, but look at the winds. Yeah, they're pretty gusty, coming in from the south-southeast at about 22 miles per hour. Here's your, taking you to the north here, temperature about 43 for Whiskeytown, 47 degrees for the city of Shasta Lake, and Red Bluff about 52 degrees. All right, so here's your detailed 7-day forecast for Redding. So we got the mix with the chance for thunderstorms today, and I think a better chance for a mix on Sunday. In fact, I think the best chance for snow altogether for Redding, City of Shasta Lake, Anderson, maybe Cottonwood, will be Saturday night, early Sunday morning. In fact, stick around for the deep dive forecast because we're going to zoom in on the north end of the valley and see where there might just be some snow. A little teaser for you to maybe stick around for that deep dive forecast. But there you can see Monday, Tuesday, you've got the showers, and then we dry things out for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. All right, let's go ahead and take you into the deep dive forecast now. So for those of you that got what you need out of the forecast, here's what I can expect today. I can go on with my day and I'm okay. I know it's happening. Great. But for those of you who want more detail, maybe that chance for snow in Redding, right? We're going to talk about that here in a second. So let's start with the big trough of low pressure right here. We saw the satellite image a little bit earlier. What I want to point out here, you see how we have this little spin? So you have the main rotation around the main area of low pressure. You can kind of see that rotation right here, right? But you see within that speckled clouds, colder air, you see these little spins. There's a spin here, there's a little bit of a spin here. So what happens is this. You have the flow doing a little something like this, right? So when you have these little spins that are within this upper level low, those spins are what we call vortexes or disturbances, right? Kind of, for lack of a better term there, right? But vortex is the best term because that's the actual term of it. But those come in, and that is what helps to bring us kind of that inclement weather. So things are calm and quiet, and you're like, well, where's the storm? Here's the storm. It's here, right? But this is the type of storm that we get these disturbances coming around it and moving into Northern California. And then that's when some of us, not all of us, feel the impacts of that disturbance moving through. So here again is that broad trough of low pressure, and here is that flow coming in. So you get these vortexes, you get these disturbances rotating around, and then they come right into Northern California. Okay? Now, another thing I want to point out, and this is something I've been talking about even all week long. Here's the main area of low pressure. Here's the big, broad trough, right? But you take that trough and you split it in half. The east side of that trough right here is what is known as the area of most instability. Okay, so this is where you have the most upward lift. This is where you have the most amount of what we call vorticity. And that vorticity is a level of instability. And that's where you see most of the clouds, the rain, the snow, the thunderstorms, right? And not to mention even the gusty winds. But then what happens is now we go to the west side of that trough axis right here. You go to the west side of that, there's still some instability, just not nearly as much. So conditions tend to improve as we start getting on the west side of that storm. So today, we're kind of in that transition. We're still seeing a lot of that instability in Northern California, and that's why we're going to see the thunderstorms out there, and not to mention the low elevation snow, because you can't forget the fact that it doesn't matter where we are within that trough axis, that colder air has moved in. So any precipitation we do see is going to be in the form of low elevation snow. Now look what happens on Sunday. Number one, the colder air is shifting eastward, but it's still cold air in place. It's going to keep those snow levels low. Number two, where did that area of low pressure I just had on there? Well, that's because that area of low pressure itself is weakening. When you have a closed area of low pressure, see these little closed areas? I should probably even put lows there. When you have a closed circle like that, that's an area of low pressure that's a decent strength for it to be closed like that. But when you take that circle, right, and you open it up, now the area of low pressure has gotten weaker. So the storm system itself is then also showing signs of getting a little bit weaker as well. So despite the fact that it's getting weaker, I still think we're going to see a decent amount of snow on Sunday. And then you'll start to see on Monday, we still have a flow coming in from the north. See how we have a little area of low pressure here, another one here. So we kind of have this less organized storm system right here. So there's still some flow, there's still some disturbances that'll clip Northern California and keep the chance for precipitation in there on Monday and even into Tuesday. You see what's happening? So we still have this low pressure up to our north and east, but we still have some of that coming into Northern California, and that's why we still expect to see some precipitation on Tuesday. But then by Wednesday, look at that. This is what we call a ridge of high pressure. It's a weak, but it's a ridge of high pressure. And as we all know, not all of us maybe, but as you know, ridge of high pressure then supports the fact that we won't see the rain, we won't see the snow, and temperatures will moderate as well, get a little bit warmer. But this may impact us by the end of next week into that next weekend. We'll see. I mean, a lot can happen between now and then. But the colder air is in place no matter what. So we still expect to see below normal temperatures here in the long range. Thunderstorms are certainly going to be a case here today. I've been talking about that. And with those thunderstorms, you're talking about the potential of a brief period of heavy rainfall, gusty winds associated with those storms. And of course, looking at the potential for hail and accumulating hail. And of course, we always can't forget about the lightning. You could hear some rumbles of thunder as well. What's interesting is the Storm Prediction Center that puts out this product here, it didn't have this. In fact, it only had this little area right here for the valley and then along the coast and nothing elsewhere. They decided to bump that up. You remember yesterday I said, I think we'll see more thunderstorms even for your Saturday for Redding and Red Bluff. And sure enough, it's all kind of bumped up northward. All right, but you can see here for tomorrow, most of it, and I still agree with this, I think most of the thunderstorms tomorrow, Sunday, will be mainly for the north coast. But we can't rule out maybe some rumbles of thunder on Sunday as well for the valley. All right, let's take a look at Futurecast, walk through the timing of it all, and really get into the depth of things here. So here we are. I've got this little around 1,000 feet, because keep in mind I mentioned that snow levels are expected to rise a little bit through the morning hours. So there you can see that we do have some light showers. And really what I want to point out here too is this. As I mentioned, this is the type of storm where it's a big, broad area of low pressure, big, broad storm. But a lot of times things are calm and you're going, well, where's the storm? It's out there. And it just depends on where you are, right? Because some of you might be experiencing bad weather. Others may not. It just depends. All right, so let's take you through the midday. Here's noon. So you see, again, we're not seeing a lot of activity in the valley. There's going to be some stray showers. There may even be a few thunderstorms popping up this morning, but not that active in the valley. But we're still seeing snow off and on for the mountains. And there are going to be periods of heavy snow at that. So this is why when we say travel is not recommended, because the road conditions, they're going to fluctuate all weekend long. Because what happens is you see a brief downpour of snow, right? And then suddenly you have all this snow on the ground. Caltrans has to clear it out, and there are chain requirements. But then you get a bit of a break, Caltrans can catch up, and things are nice and clear, and everything's great, and then another one comes through. So that's the reason why. You can look at the road conditions, and then you get to your destination an hour later, and it's snowing like crazy, when maybe it wasn't an hour ago, right? So this is why travel is not recommended in the higher elevations. But as I mentioned, snow levels are climbing a little bit by midday. Then we start to see those snow levels start to drop again. And look at this. There's that next disturbance pushing through. More thunderstorms in the valley. Heavy rain, gusty winds, maybe some accumulating hail. There's the snow in the higher elevations. This is where we see chain requirements becoming a problem. I-5, you bet, there's going to be snow up there. I mean, and that's the thing. We'll be looking at those chain requirements most likely. I mean, there have already been chain requirements this morning. At least there have been screening vehicles for chains this morning. Look at this. You see that? Around 500 feet for Sunday morning. We'll talk about that in a little bit more detail here in a second, but look how close it's getting to the valley. But we still have a lot of that snow Sunday morning in the mountains still creating problems, and maybe some thunderstorms tomorrow morning for the coast. And there, of course, it is in the valley. Not much going on in the valley on Sunday. Look at this. However, Sunday around noon, maybe an isolated thunderstorm popping up. Remember I was talking about, the Storm Prediction Center saying most of the thunderstorms are on the coast? You know what? I mean, we could see a thunderstorm here on Sunday as well. Snow levels back up to around 1,000 feet. But look what's happening as we go into the afternoon on Sunday. We're beginning to see this become less and less widespread, right? We're seeing just kind of the scattered snow flurries. So conditions may start to improve by the time we do get into Sunday afternoon. But look at this. We've got another storm system coming in possibly on Monday. We've got another disturbance, so some heavy rainfall along the coast, more snow, but snow levels will probably be just a tad higher as we go into Monday. See how that the snow is not hugging the valley quite as tightly as it will be over this weekend. So we're looking at some pretty decent rain coming in Monday morning. Snow levels probably around 1,000 to probably even closer to 2,000 feet. And that's through Monday morning. All right. Remember I was talking about that chance for snow in the valley. Let's take a look at this. And I want to talk to you about why the forecast model is indicating there may be some snow in the valley, but one of the reasons why I don't think it may be quite what we'd like it to be. All right, so here we are. This is midnight tonight. I put the winds in here because that's an important factor in our forecast for snow. So you see the winds are coming in from the south here. That's warmer air, okay? And a lot of times what I've seen here in the past with these storms is you have a strong south wind and then suddenly those south winds stop, and sometimes they'll shift more from the north. So you may have a south wind in Red Bluff, but say north of Red Bluff, all the winds may be from the north, and then that's when you start seeing snow in those areas that have more of that north wind. So take note of what's happening with the winds. They're all blowing in from the south at midnight tonight. But you see how that snow is getting really close though. All right, now I'm going to take you into the early morning hours. Look at this. I mean, that's snow. West Reading, Old Shasta, you might see some mix, maybe even some all snow for a brief period of time. This is light. This is not heavy. Okay, you have to look at those darker shades of blue. That's where you're seeing that heavier snow. That too is a key factor. If the snow is really heavy, and even though the temperature may be 34, 35, even with a south wind, if it's coming down really heavy, then that can really help to force down some of that colder air as well and prevent those snowflakes from melting. And then sometimes because it's so heavy, it makes its way into the valley. Again, it just all depends on all of the different types of factors we have to look into. But check this out. As we go into 6 a.m. on Sunday, look at that. We're seeing a little bit of that kind of a mix out towards the city of Shasta Lake near Reading, but notice the winds. They're still coming in from the south. This is why I'm still not 100% convinced that we'll see anything significant should we see snowflakes in the valley. All right, now we can take you into about Sunday at 9 a.m. Once again, we're seeing some of that snow get close, but look at the winds. They're all coming in from the south. And then you can see all bets are off at that point as we go through the afternoon. We're looking at mainly in the form of rain. So, that's just it. We've got to look at the winds, watch the winds closely tomorrow morning, and not to mention the temperatures. Because once the temperatures start to drop, then of course we can start to see better chances for snow. But I'm just not seeing much in the way of snow for the north end of the valley. All right, rainfall totals. This is something I always hesitate to show because I always have to really explain why these numbers are so low and why they should typically be higher, but sometimes they should be lower. And the reason for that is that when you're dealing with off and on chances for rain, thunderstorms, all of that, we can't know for sure exactly who's going to see the heaviest amount of rainfall, but we can get a general idea. So if you don't see much in the way of rain, yeah, you're only talking about 1/10 of an inch of rain once all is said and done through even Monday morning. But you can see here, if you get caught under a thunderstorm, a brief period of heavier rainfall, I mean, you could see probably even over 1/2 of an inch of rain. It just depends on how many of these brief thunderstorms come through your area. And it looks like we do expect to see maybe a chance for more. Check this out, winter weather advisories. We have a winter storm warning for all the areas in pink through 10 a.m. Sunday morning. Still the blizzard warning. What does a blizzard warning mean? Well, still heavy snow, but now you're introducing winds with that as well, creating even a bigger hazard. So blowing snow, just travel's not recommended there. I mean, who wants to drive in the snow, number one? But then the blowing snow, it's blowing sideways. The visibility is really low at that point. A lot of times even worse than fog. There you can see, of course, here off to the west, look at this. We have some winter weather advisory for the coast, but why not in the valley? I'll tell you why. Because we have been seeing so far, most of the thunderstorms have been creating accumulating hail, which is a winter type of event, right? But not necessarily a winter event. So what the National Weather Service had to do is get a little creative to help make you become aware, if you're on the coast and driving on Highway 101, that you may run into some accumulating hail through really the day to day. And really, quite honestly, this may be extended into Sunday if we see a chance for more thunderstorms tomorrow. So that's kind of one of the reasons why, that is the reason why there's a winter weather advisory out towards the coast. All right, let's take a look at the forecast snow totals. Once again, grain of salt here, but it is picking up on that potential for at least a mix in Redding and, of course, northward. Snow totals, you'll notice, they're not quite as impressive as what a lot of the forecast models days out have been predicting. Now, this is our in-house forecast model here at Weather NorCal, and it is, I think, a pretty darn good representation. However, I think it might be overdoing it for Hayfork Weaverville. And you can see here for Chester, you'll notice, I mean, remember, I don't know, 4 days ago, I was talking about maybe even 3-4 feet of snow in Chester. I don't think we're seeing that right now. And what we're expecting to see here over the weekend, I don't think we're going to see enough support for that much snow. But through Monday, I think we could get, close to a foot of snow. It just depends. And I mean, look at El Turris. I mean, now that number's gone down again. So you'll notice a lot of these numbers are down significantly from even just 24 hours ago. And that's because, of course, we're seeing less and less potential for that heavier snow in those higher elevations. We're talking about, you're probably hearing in the headlines nationally about all of the snow in Northern California. Keep in mind, we all know, we live here, this is Northern California. Not our neighbors to the south, right? We know that. But nationally, places like Sacramento, the Bay Area, the Sierra is called Northern California. So when they say Northern California, the Sierra is going to get 10 feet of snow, yeah, there's still that chance of seeing 5 to 10 feet of snow in the Sierra. But obviously, as you start heading northward, it's not going to be as bad for us. But I want to talk about the storm impacts here for today. The oranges and reds indicating that you have a moderate to major travel issue. Look what's happening on I-5 here today. And again, this is partially, the reason why it's lower is because we're seeing the snow levels rise through the morning, but then start to drop again later on this evening and into tonight. But look at tomorrow. We're seeing a lot better conditions here, especially to the north and east, but conditions are still pretty bad as we go into parts of Highway 299. Berry Summit, Buckhorn Summit. And look at this. I mean, it doesn't improve a whole lot on Monday. In fact, it gets a little bit worse on Monday because of that system coming in Monday morning. It could create some problems on I-5 even Monday morning. And look at that. I mean, you're looking at Highway 199 or towards Collier Tunnel. I mean, you could be looking at some activity there as well. But conditions do look like they will improve on Highway 299. Bottom line, if you have travel plans on Monday in the mountains, keep a close eye on things. Of course, keep it here to Weather NorCal. I'll have coffee with Kruger Monday morning, and that'll give you a better idea of what you can expect Monday morning heading out the door. Winds, as I mentioned, they won't be as strong as they were on Thursday, but still gusty at times over the weekend, and then it'll probably continue into Monday. In fact, Monday with that next storm system coming in, the winds will pick up along the coast starting off, and eventually some stronger winds even for the valley. So yeah, it looks like even stronger winds coming in for the beginning of next week. All right, here's your long-range forecast. Remember talking about that flow. So you can see Monday, there's that storm system coming in, heavy snow again in the mountains. Look at this. We have another system coming in on Tuesday that can continue to impact us. But then, there it is. There's the relief. By Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we've got this ridge of high pressure right there that's going to keep us dry. But maybe by a week from today, we're talking about the potential for some more rain again. We'll see. All right, so there's your precipitation outlook. Looks to be in the lower end of the above normal, so still that chance for rain. There's the wave heights for today. The hazardous seas warning this morning will be downgraded to a small craft advisory because conditions are expected to improve this afternoon over the ocean here and continuing into your Sunday. So there's a marine forecast for Saturday. Southwest winds at 10 to 15 knots. There's your high and low tide. Again, hazardous seas warning this morning until about 9. But after 9 o'clock, it will be downgraded to a small craft advisory. All right, here's what we can expect here for today. Just kind of a broad brush, looking at temperatures in the low 50s for the valley. For the mountains, there are those temperatures cold. So when you're talking about highs in the mid to upper 30s, this is why I think we may see snow to start off this morning in Weaverville, Hayfork, back up to a mix as the snow levels rise, back down to snow as the temperatures drop and the snow levels drop as well. Temperatures in the mid-40s here for the coast. All right, we're going to take a look at some of your 7-day forecasts out there. And you can see for the valley starting off, could see a mix. I've got a mix in there for Red Bluff, but most likely to be in the form of rain, but otherwise a chance for thunderstorms. Still can't rule out a thunderstorm on Sunday, but otherwise that mix, maybe a brief period of just snow around North Reading, city of Shasta Lake, for example. But otherwise showers continuing into Monday and Tuesday, drying out by Wednesday and Thursday. There's your coast 7-day forecast, not to mention inland and Weaverville. Snow levels will eventually start to slowly climb going into Monday, Tuesday, but still even around 2,000 feet by the time we go into Tuesday of next week. And here is a look at your forecast for the eastern mountain, the north and eastern mountains. Mount Shasta looking at a high of only 30s, mid 30s, but again, also looking at those snow levels climbing a little bit, but still fairly low even for your Monday and your Tuesday. And then, of course, we dry things out by Wednesday and Thursday. All right, there you have it. You know, here's the thing, and what I'm noticing is now that I know I don't have to worry about it, that the people in the very beginning, for those of you who just want to watch and get a quick overall forecast and you're on with your day, now that I know I don't have to worry about time after that, I can go even deeper into the forecast. Because now at this point, everyone who needed what they wanted, they're out of here and they're done. But for those of you that stuck around, you can really get that deep dive forecast. And now I don't feel any pressure at all to keep it at to keep the time down. Because now for those of you that are sticking around, that means you've got the time to really get into that deep dive forecast with me. So tell me what you think of this format. Do you like the format here? Now, I've had a few people comment to me saying, don't listen to what everybody is saying, all that stuff. I want you to know that there's a reason why I decided to go with this new format. I was talking to some close friends of mine, and we were kind of talking about it. And no one, I want to make this clear, not one person, even outside of in my circle or outside of my circle, no one came to me and said, your forecasts are too long. But I just started kind of thinking about it. Because as I was making the forecast this week, I've had some of the longest I've ever had, over 20 minutes. I think I had one last week around like 22, 23 minutes long. I'm thinking to myself, that's great, that's fine, but there might be people out there that may be in a bit of a hurry and they just want to grab their forecast and go. And that's what the top of these forecasts will be about. Grab your forecast and go. And then for those of you that want more detail and really want to dive into that forecast, you can do that with me. So tell me what you think. mkruger@weathernorcal.com. Instant message me on Facebook. And you can also comment on YouTube. So I'm really looking forward to hearing your comments. I've already received a lot of comments from the noon and evening hits yesterday. Thank you, by the way, if you're watching. I appreciate that. I appreciate all of you. And I have really been enjoying this journey. It's been a lot of fun. And it is It's getting late, folks. I've been doing this for a long time. But that's okay. So we will see you. Of course, don't forget about Coffee with Kruger, 6:30 this morning. And, of course, I'll have an update for you at noon and this evening with this new format.